Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Oval Series from none other than the Steel Palace, OSWEGO Speedway in Oswego, New York, home of the Super Modified. We don't have those in iRacing, but boy howdy is this Indy NXT machine a close thing to it. We're getting to the closing stages of practice here. Me and Sophie ourselves put down some practice laps here earlier to get a feel of what drivers are going to encounter here tonight. Sophie, what are we in for?
Well, this track is so bumpy, it makes Sebring look like a sheet of glass. Jacob and I were in a practice session earlier. It is incredibly difficult to get off of the corner, particularly 3 and 4. There is a massive bump on the racing line that just feels like the car just drops off a curb, like a curb on like a sidewalk. It just really is difficult to get the power down and not lose the car. So we're in for a race that will test the quality of driver out there in these Indy NXT machines.
Yeah, and in terms of driver quality in these Indy NXT machines, particularly on these ovals, we need to look no further than reigning series champ Dylan Vilashinsky. He's back out here in the number 3 machine tonight, getting underway in qualifying. This is his first of 2 laps. You see that big bump in the middle as it turns 3 and 4. That's the most significant one around here, but you'll see the camera shaking up and down as we ride along with Dylan. He'll hit a 16.125 that first time around. We'll see how much he picks up on lap 2. Very much a lot of time to be gained on the second lap compared to the first around here.
Yes, it takes a little bit for the tires to come into temperature, and again, to go into just how stacked this field is, Dylan Vilashinsky goes to the top. A lot of stout names from the IndyCar side of things as well, like an Adam Blocker, are in here, and that's really hats off to them. A lot of people would take the attitude on a combo like this of, but my I rating, to paraphrase a certain vacant cardboard container YouTuber would say. And hats off to them for making this a stout field. We are in for a show, Jacob.
Yeah, and a show we are. We've got a tie for pole position as it stands between Dylan Vilashinsky and Logan Edwards. 15.731 for both of them. Tied to the third digit. Vilashinsky taking the advantage. I believe in qualifying, if it's down to a dead tie, it's whoever takes the lap first. And obviously, Vilashinsky took to the track kind of as soon as he could get out there. We'll see where the rest of these drivers get gridded up here. You see Andy Kirchenbauer, the inaugural series champion. He's qualified in the 6th spot. Reigning Junior Oval Series champ David Powers will be currently listed alongside him as Taylor Thurman shoots up well into the top couple spots. You got Hayden Daniel slotting up in 4th there. Ashton Metters in 5th. Brian Labarge making his debut here, I believe, in the Indy NXT Oval Series broadcast. Good to see Brian out here. I've raced him a good bit in the Indy Pro over the years.
Yeah, and Taylor Thurman was actually one of the faster cars in practice, so I am not surprised that he is up there in P3. So far, Adam Blocker has not set a time yet, so he will likely be... he is now working his way around the field. Let's ride on board with him, Jacob, because I suspect we're about to see a very fast lap from the driver of the number 1 machine.
Here he heads off into turn number 1 here, working through turn 2. You see a bit of a bobble there kind of as he gets the car under wraps here, rolling nice and close to that inside retaining wall through 3 and 4 here, trying to stay away from that bump. He does a good job through that corner. Here comes lap number 2. 16.060 that first time by. We'll see what he gets the second go around here. We've seen a couple tenths pick up on lap 2 just as the tires come in.
Yeah, and that was probably one of the fastest first laps that we've seen. Vilashinsky ran a 6.1, and we see a 15.774. That is only going to be good enough for third, so he'll be starting. But that could be an advantage there, because one of the things with as we get ready to go into the starting grid, one of the things that we have to note here is that it's really hard to do a good start from the second position if you're on a single monitor. I'm personally on a single monitor, and it's very difficult to gauge where you are in relation to the car alongside you at the start, and so it's very easy to get yourself caught napping. So Adam Blocker might be at an advantage compared to Logan Edwards as we're going to roll into our starting grid here. Jake, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, here we go. None other than Dylan Vilashinsky on the pole. He's tied for time here with Logan Edwards. 15.731 for both of them. They'll be starting from the front row tonight. Adam Blocker will line up inside row number 2 for Power Slide. Alongside him will be Taylor Thurman, the Thurman Tafosi, as they've coined themselves, in full force here tonight. He's the 16 car, 16. He'll be looking to put on a show, gain some good points in iRating here tonight. Hayden Daniel will line up in the 5th spot in the number 7 alongside Ashton Metters. Brian Labarge will line up in 7th in the number 13 alongside Kelly Dahl in 8th. The Kirchenbauers will share row number 5. Clay to the inside of Indy. Clay, the last driver inside the 15-second bracket. Move past them, get to Zach Hummel. He's sporting, I believe, oh no, we're missing. He had done up a super modified tribute paint for one of the, can't remember exactly what the name of the driver was, but unfortunately we don't have that here. He's got a Menards Gildan livery here, but he'll line up alongside David Powers, reigning Junior Oval Series champ. He'll start 12th. Ryan A. Brown, the winner from Iowa last season, will line up in 13th alongside Giovanni Blackerby. Crash Neon and Gary Yost will round out the 16-car field here from the Steel Palace. And we've got 2 pace laps here, the first of which has just about concluded. And we'll get ready to go here from Oswego Speedway.
Yes, Jacob. Field currently under control by the iRacing generic sedan. Gonna then be in the canvas. It goes off onto pit lane in the hands of Dylan Vilashinsky. It's an awkward pit entry here, so it's going to be a little bit. Going to wait and see the bumpy turn 4 here. Dylan Vilashinsky's going to get on the power.
Green.
And we're underway. Here at OSWEGO. Blocker gets a good start from P3. Like I said, possibly an advantage already around Logan Edwards. But Dylan Vilashinsky well up front. Taylor Thurman looking on Logan Edwards. Everyone clean through the first lap. No one dropping it on the bump through 3 and 4. Ashton Metters looking on the back of Taylor Thurman in that number 16 machine. Taylor Thurman barely made the field, so his pace not represented by his iRating here, Jacob.
No, he was putting on quite a quality showing in practice, as we mentioned before. Vilashinsky goes purple with a 15.947. We'll see that likely drop a good bit. We've seen drivers run as fast as a 15.3, I believe, so far this week. As the field starts to spread out further back in the field, as Thurman's kind of leading, or sorry, rather Metters, is kind of broken away from Hayden Daniel behind them. Daniel leads that second group of cars. We'll pan back to that here. That's going to be Daniel,
yes,
Dahl, Labarge, and both Kirchenbauers, and the rest of the field behind them.
Yes, and Kelly Dahl has kind of been working over Hayden Daniel there. Just look at the high side, low side. This is a track that, unfortunately, because of how flat it is, just doesn't work well with the high line compared to, say, other tracks like, say, USA, Jacob.
Yeah, track very flat. You kind of want to slow it and arc it and really punch off the throttle on corner exit. I am noticing that Adam Blocker's starting to slowly reel in Dylan Vilashinsky at the front here. Gap's around half a second. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's hop back to that battle for the third spot, though, between Edwards, Thurman, and Metters, as they remain about 3/10 split between each one of those.
Further back in the field, battle of the Kirchenbauers, or sorry, Indy Kirchenbauer trying to get around Brian Labarge. Labarge making his debut here. The Canadian driver has the Prodigy on his high side. Indy trying to carry as much momentum as he can. Maybe trying to get under Labarge, just not quite able to do it. Kelly Dahl also similarly working over Hayden Daniel. Dahl looks to have the spot off the corner, clears, goes the long way around. Kelly Dahl, another Canadian in that player's machine, move him up to the 6th spot.
Yeah, and with that location of the bump in 3 and 4, if you can get far enough away from it, you can build a bit more momentum to cars that are trying to struggle their way either through or around it. We noted that pretty quickly in practice here earlier on this evening, as Labarge is remaining under fire from Indy Kirchenbauer for that 8th spot.
Yes, and speaking of under fire, Dylan Vilashinsky, reigning champ, under pressure from the IndyCar Pro Series driver Adam Blocker. Adam really adapting well to the Indy NXT machine here in the Indy Fixed Oval Series. I believe he also did quite well in the Indy Fixed race from Pocono earlier tonight. Two very different cars, very different ovals, and Adam Blocker showing the pace as he tries to find a way around the defending champion.
Dylan putting up some solid laps here so far tonight. And I think the big thing we're going to see is who can hold on to these tires around here. Found that about a 40 lap run rather, which is about half the race distance here, will do a decent number on the rear tires around here, set them around the 75% mark. Of course, the closer and closer you kind of get to that 50% plus mark, that's when you're going to really start to feel it. And that only gets more and more hard as the race continues to keep the wear down. So we'll see as this race continues, as it's knocked on wood, knock on anything you got that looks like wood. We've stayed under green for the first 15, now 16 laps here from OSWEGO, and we're going to see lap traffic play a factor potentially, as Zach Hummel is just a couple seconds ahead of Wylashinsky here at the front.
Yeah, the super modified paint, not necessarily the lucky charm for Zach Hummel right now. He is currently just under 2 seconds ahead of Dylan Wylashinsky. Ashton Metters currently working over Taylor Thurman as well for that fourth and fifth place spot. So a lot of action on the track, and I suspect Adam Blocker is going to be looking at the traffic ahead, trying to maybe set up a pick on that Get Good racing machine of Dylan Wylashinsky.
Yeah, and another battle we're seeing pick up pretty quick here is Indy Kirchenbauer on the back of Hayden Daniel. Indy qualifying deeper than he probably would have liked tonight on that fifth row alongside his dad. Looking to try to get a move done here on Hayden Daniel before too long here. He'll look to the outside in 1 and 2, try to carry some momentum, maybe get the crossover heading on to the other end of the track here.
Yes, and now Dylan Wylashinsky dives on the inside of Zach Hummel. Hummel runs wide up towards the top of those the walls here. The walls that kind of give this place the name the Steel Palace for a reason. And so they've successfully navigated the first part of lap traffic. It's another 2 seconds between them and Gary Yost, who's running himself, just running only 2 seconds adrift of Crash Neon.
That last time by, actually we'll get him across the line here. 15.827 for Wylashinsky, 15.877 for Blocker. Gary Yost that last time by 15.938. So not a huge pace difference between these drivers, but it's just with how short this track is and how quickly these drivers wound up single file, they're going to catch each other in a hurry.
Yeah, Indy Kirchenbauer is still trying to get around Hayden Daniel. It's so difficult to pass here because this track is so bottom dependent. It's just not easy to set up a pass here, and I'm sure that's also been a problem for the likes of Adam Blocker, just being just that little bit behind Dylan Wylashinsky here. My, look how violent this place is for these cars. They're just bobbing up and down, especially along that front straightaway. Very bumpy. Like I said, it makes Sebring look like a sheet of glass.
Yeah, let's hop on board with Taylor Thurman here as he navigates behind Logan Edwards to that final step of the podium here. He'll head off into turns 3 and 4 here. You see very tight to the inside line. There's going to be that bump. You can see the very rough transition. The car kind of nose dives heading into turn number 4 there as he continues to navigate the course here. And there's just not a spot on this track where I feel like the driver isn't going up and down as well as they are side to side.
Yeah, this track definitely, a lot of people are going to be glad this is only ever happening in Sim because I can imagine the bruising and the physical toll this would take as Ashton Metters has gotten to the inside and a yellow flag is out. That is for Crash Neon against the inside wall there.
Let's see if we can run the tape back.
Or sorry, outside wall.
Real quick and see what happened to Crash here. So we've got him heading off turn number 2 here. Here he comes heading towards turn 3 and 4. He's got the Ghost Energy pink and green car here. You're going to see traffic ahead of him. I believe that's going to be Ryan Brown. Oh, he gets the grass maybe? Or no, he clips the apron, I think. We're going to have to maybe ride on board with him and see what happens as he enters the
I
corner
think he
there.
just hit the bump with too much wheel in it, Jacob.
Yeah, let's see. So here he is heading into 3 and 4. He's turned in real heavily. And then there's going to be the bump right about there. Oh, yeah, right before he gets kind of the transition point down, his car kind of nosedives straight into the ground. He'll go around. Fortunately, everybody makes it around him. And that'll be our first yellow around lap 30 here. So we'll get our way back under the iRacing pace car. Get to Dylan Vilashinsky at the front of this field. And that'll give these drivers an opportunity to reset, stretch their arms out, get those shoulders relaxed a little bit, as that definitely felt like the brunt of what you were going to take here from the very bumpy, very fast Oswego Speedway. Give drivers an opportunity to figure out maybe things they can do on this next stint here, try to get themselves further up the field.
Yes, Jacob, this is a great chance for everyone to kind of catch their breath. You don't really get a chance to do that here with how this track is laid out. Do want to note Ashton Metters probably kicking themselves as they were alongside Taylor Thurman, about to finally get into the inside of them and a chance to really make a pass for that 4th position, but ultimately now got to reset, wait for the green flag to come back out. We are currently working lap 32 of 80 here from the Steel Palace.
Yeah, lights are out on the iRacing pace car. We'll give a quick shout out to Whiplash Simcams for the cameras tonight. As far as I'm aware, these are brand new for the 2026 calendar year, so they're just in time for us to make our trip to the Steel Palace here at Indy NXT. We'll thank them for some good stuff here. If you need some cameras for photography, any other needs here on iRacing, feel free to check them out. Pace car is off. Vilashinsky will get control of the field ahead of Adam Blocker. Logan Edwards, Taylor Thurman, Ashton Metters rounding out the top 5. Here they come off turn number 4. Ready to go here from Oswego once again.
Yes, Dylan Vilashinsky really backing it all up there. We go green. Field stacking all the way up. We try to make sense of everything that's been happening there. Zach Hummel trying to get out of everyone's way as the field streaks by him.
And Ashton Metters was able to make quick work of Taylor Thurman off the restart. He moves up to 4th. He'll be looking to put Logan Edwards under fire here.
And Giovanni Blackaby's missing a rear wing. So that is unfortunate for him. He had a tough race at Suzuka earlier. Looks like he lost it in the middle of all of that stacking up. Looks like Ryan A. Brown got into the back of him during that whole stack up there. So, tough break for Giovanni Blackaby.
Yeah, Kelly Dahl's back under fire from Hayden Daniel, kind of in the dead middle of the field here. They fight for 7th. Indy's made it on through. He's up to 6th. He'll be hunting down Taylor Thurman for the final spot in the top 5 here. It's a good ways to drift. Let's get gaps up on screen, see where things are kind of developing here. Oh,
yellow flag
far
is
out.
Yeah, and that is Hayden Daniel against the outside steel panels there. Just, unfortunately, looks like another instance of that bump, Jacob.
Yeah, here he comes into turns 3 and 4. He's hunting down Kelly Dahl for that 7th spot. Here comes the bump right about there. You see the car transition down, and he goes around. Same deal as Crash Neon, I think. He just hits the bump, wrong place, wrong time. Got a little too much wheel in it, and he'll go around to the outside wall. We'll be back under yellow.
Yeah, and it looks like he maybe has some wheel damage there, because that front wheel doesn't look like it's sitting quite the way it should.
Yeah, we'll watch
compared
it.
to some of the other cars that are out there.
Yeah, we'll watch it back from the onboard as well, just to get an idea of how quickly these cars kind of snap around here. You see him transition towards turn 3 here on the inside of the track. Here they come. Work his way towards that, and you kind of get right to that light pole here, and then there the car goes around and just too tucked in, I think, and around his car will go. Hits the bump, comes around.
Yeah, and Ryan A. Brown was on pit lane along with Crash Neon getting damage repaired.
Yeah, Hayden Daniel appears to have joined them, likely made some heavy contact with the outside wall through that spin there. So let's get a reset of the field here as we reach the halfway mark of tonight's event. That's going to be Dylan Vilashinsky at the point. Get Good Racing Machine, no stranger to leading here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition. Behind him is Adam Blocker. Logan Edwards will line up in third ahead of Ashton Metters, who's made the pass on Taylor Thurman at last restart for the fourth spot. Thurman runs along in fifth in the number 16 machine. Indy Kirchenbauer, after qualifying in the fifth row, is up to sixth. Kelly Dahl runs along in seventh ahead of Clay Kirchenbauer in eighth. Brian Labarge runs along in ninth ahead of David Powers. Gary Yost runs along in 11th ahead of Ryan Brown, Hayden Daniel. And those are the last cars in the lead lap, I do believe.
Yeah, and I do want to note, Crash Neon went down through pit lane and weirdly found himself moved further up the grid by doing that. And he is trying to give that position back now, so I'll be curious to see if that causes any consternation as the lights go out on the iRacing generic sedan that looks like it came out of automation. So we will see what Dylan Vilashinsky does this time, because there was that stack up that cost Giovanni Blackerby his rear wing and gave Ryan A. Brown some damage.
And the field will end up back in control of Dylan Vilashinsky heading into turn number 3 here. The pit lane in its entirety shorter than the actual track here, which might explain some of the issues we saw with Crash Neon having to give spots back up. But here we come back off turn number 4. Vilashinsky will launch.
Green flag.
Solid restart for him. Solid restart for Ashton Metters as well.
Yeah, Ashton Metters getting a good restart already all over the gearbox of the i5G machine of Logan Edwards.
And to the inside, Metters will go on that i5G machine. Not able to roll the speed off the corner. He'll have to mount the charge here the hard way. Taylor Thurman's under fire from Indy Kirchenbauer for 5th.
Yes, Indy Kirchenbauer, currently the hard-charging driver, going from 9th on the grid to 6th. Indy Kirchenbauer has the inside now on Taylor Thurman. Indy not quite able to get past them, though, and so he is going to have to settle in and try to get around Taylor.
Yeah, he's going to have to play the game of patience here, not able to roll the speed on the bottom on the inside of Taylor's. Adam Blocker will go purple with a 15.545. 113 mile an hour speed around here is nothing to sneeze at. Just 0.62 miles is the Oswego Speedway here in Oswego, New York, or the virtual Oswego, New York, rather. He's clicking him off now.
Yes, and he is taking a much wider entry. He is really getting friendly with those steel plate walls. So really out there trying to make sure that he is using as much of the track as possible. Really square up the corners to try and find any kind of extra speed on Dylan Vilashinsky as he tries to close in the gap and make the move.
Not the closest battle on the course as it stands. That's the battle for third between Edwards and Metters. And then you've got Kirchenbauer, Hunt, and Thurman. That's about the same gap between those two cars. See Indy just barely get alongside Thurman on the entry of turn 3. That door closes through the corner. Metters to the inside of Edwards.
And Kirchenbauer got on the inside of Thurman as well. Really sends it deep in there as well.
Oh, Metters is around.
Metters is around, and that forced Thurman to have to give up the position to Kirchenbauer.
Yeah, we'll see if the timing line favors Kirchenbauer in that exchange. Not sure where the scoring loops are around here in Oswego, but that could be the break Indy was looking for to gain another spot here. Metters comes off the corner, slides it, manages to keep it out of the wall, keep it out of other cars. We'll run it back and see what he had going on in that IL-15. Caught the slide there. We'll get a little further back here. We'll watch his run through 1 and 2 here. Get on board here now. You see Edwards nearly made contact with the inside wall there through 1 and 2. Head around turn number 2 here. Work off the corner here. He's looking to the inside of Edwards now as we kind of caught him looking on the inside there. And maybe just a little bit eager on the throttle pedal is what we might see heading through 3 and 4 here, trying to hold that bottom lane, get a little bit of extra exit speed to keep the i5G machine of Logan Edwards in the slow stuff. So here comes the run to 3 and 4. Rolling nice and tidy onto the inside wall here. You see the wheel start to unfurl here. He'll get lined up with this yellow line here and just snap off the corner. Around he goes, catches a big slide here. He'll go for a ride. Fortunately, everybody able to dodge him. He'll only fall to 8th, but lighting those Firestone tires up with a little under 30 laps to go here is not going to be ideal for the driver of the number 8. Or 2, rather.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And the thing is, Jacob, as anyone who is a regular watching these Indy NXT races on P1 Broadcasting will know, they don't get an extra set of tires. They have to make their one set last the entire time. So if you burn your stuff off, you make it difficult for yourself, you're not going to have a fun time in those final laps here at OSWEGO.
Yeah, certainly a very, very tricky track to get around. For those keeping score at home, the strength of field tonight is 4,022. It's the first time this season we've seen a strength of field over the 4,000 mark here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition. Last time would have been last season at Pocono, where we saw Adam Blocker take the win in a 4,082 strength of field over Dylan Vilashinsky and Crash Neon. We'll see who takes the crown here at the Steel Palace tonight. Lights are out on the iRacing pace car. We get into 25 to go here. 13 cars of 16 starters remain on the lead lap. Crash Neon, Zach Hummel, Giovanni Blackerby all at least 1 down. Blackerby down 3. And here we head into turn number 3. Vilashinsky in control of the field. Sophie, take it away.
So once again, everyone lined up against those steel plate walls. Adam Blocker glued to the gearbox of Dylan Vilashinsky. Vilashinsky seems to take a roll in it real slow. Field real tight. He launches. We are green. Once again at OSWEGO. We are working lap 56 of 80.
Yeah, we saw Thurman
Get good racing machine. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, we saw Taylor Thurman get a decent jump and try to look to the inside. 80 Kirchenbauer back for 4th. He ultimately wound up losing that spot through the timing loop exchange there. And now we've got kind of a big stack up. 4th on back as you see almost 3 wide between Dahl, Metters, and Clay Kirchenbauer there as they fight for 6th.
Caution, yellow flag.
Yeah, and we are once again back under yellow.
Oh, that's a big one.
Gary Yost. Yeah, Gary Yost is involved. It looks like he lost it off the corner, and Giovanni Blackerby's in that. I believe Ryan Brown is involved.
Yeah. Here comes Yost off turn 2. He's up in the high lane, just snaps off the corner. He's going to wind up with, I believe, Hayden Daniel nowhere to go there. Blackerby's up in the wall, bouncing up in the air. Front wing gone for him. Crash Neon takes avoiding action. He'll make contact with the inside wall just barely. We'll see if he can keep that machine still rolling. Don't believe.
Yeah, sorry, I want to
else involved.
Want to issue a correction. That was not Ryan A. Brown. That was Hayden Daniel. Giovanni Blackerby's bad night just went to worse. As there now with what looks like a little bit of suspension damage and front wing gone. So that was unfortunate. All stemming from Gary Yost losing it off the corner. So it can all happen in a moment here at OSWEGO. I mean, that was just Gary Yost just lost it off the corner. Hayden Daniel had to check up to try and not run into Yost, and then unfortunately Giovanni Blackerby just caught out by that sudden deceleration by Daniels, and well, that was all she wrote for Giovanni Blackerby for right now.
Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of sticking these very fast, very nimble, kind of little bit twitchy IL-15s on a track like Oswego. Of course, this track plays host to a slew of traditional short track cars, has a number of dirt events. I believe they have a whole dirt week, as you'll see some of the billboards as they head through 3 and 4 here, where they've got pretty much any dirt car you can think of come on out here and tackle this same track with some dirt thrown down on it. These IL-15s very much a little bit fish out of water, but if you'd like to make the comparison that the super modifieds or F1 cars people build in their garages, these aren't too far away. Maybe a boulder's throw away for throwing stones into the lake here.
Yes, and once again, we are on lap 61 of 80, so we are 19 laps go. iRacing sedan is once again diving off. Going to be in the control of Dylan Vilashinsky and the Get Good Racing Machine. Adam Blocker for Power Slide in P3. And another powerhouse IndyCar team, Logan Edwards for I5G in P3.
Yeah, Indy Kirchenbauer's made it up to fourth.
And they go!
Green flag.
He'll be looking for a solid restart here. He'll get one. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of it here as Vilashinsky gets the solid launch he's had every restart so far tonight. We'll
The
see.
yellow flag is out.
Oh! Caution! Giovanni Blackerby again is in the wall, and I think it's done.
Yeah, that car's on 3 wheels. The left side pod's missing. Rear wing is gone.
Oh, they just climbed. I mean, that's like the Ken Schrader Pocono wreck there, with how Giovanni Blackerby just goes into that steel plate wall and just flips it up and over.
Yeah, we'll get closer to it here as Blackerby gets off the restart heading into turn number 1. That's going to be Ryan A. Brown behind him. Brown just kind of taps the back of Blackerby. Around Blackerby will go. Send him to the outside wall. Perfect rollover flip there. Back onto what would be the wheels if he had all 4 of them. He tries to pull away. Damage too significant to continue. That's going to take Blackerby out of contention here. Not what he was hoping to have happen to him this evening. Off a rough night from Suzuka yesterday. He'll have another rough one here from the Steel Palace in Oswego. Not the week Blackerby was looking for.
No, it was not. No one really wants to be sent to the Shadow Realm, but especially... apparently there was some upsetty spaghetti in the chat there, but yeah, it's understandable that Giovanni is upset about that. He did get sent to the Shadow Realm, Jacob.
Yeah, and that's certainly not the place you want to be, especially when you're already kind of down on your luck, multiple laps down here. You're just trying to get as many of these laps in, get experience, get the time in the car, get the time on the track. Who knows? This won't be potentially the first and or only time we see Oswego Speedway at Indy NXT Oval Series competition, so not a bad one for these drivers to maybe get a feel for if it comes back around later on in the series' lifespan. We'll highlight, we've got additional coverage going on this evening of the Area 51 IndyCar League. Mark Murphy calling that from Iowa Speedway. That's their 9th round ongoing as we speak. Tomorrow night we'll be back with the Horizon IndyCar Series from Horizon from Chicagoland, rather. We were from Pocono with the IndyCar Oval Series tonight. That'll be 8 p.m. Mark Murphy on the call for that. Myself and Sophie will be back tomorrow night with the Formula Super Series from Hockenheim, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time for that. Thursday, we've got AMA Grand National from Rockingham. That'll be 8:20 p.m. Eastern time there. Friday night, Gary Godso on the call for the Truck Series, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time there. We're about ready to get back under green, though. And we're going to have 15 laps, or 14 rather, once we actually get across the line here. Sophie, take us away.
Once again, field in the control of Dylan Vilashinsky. Big gap between when the pace car dives on pit lane to when they can actually go. Dylan Vilashinsky field tightening up behind the Get Good Racing Machine. And we are underway. Dylan Vilashinsky has a good jump. Logan Edwards gets a good jump. Ashton Metters diving down. Really a defensive line for Taylor Thurman and a couple others there. As Kelly Dahl looking to make some moves on Clay Kirchenbauer, the father of the prodigy. And everyone's scattering. Oh, spinning around up the corner. I believe that's Clay Kirchenbauer.
Yeah, Clay had done his best to try to take avoiding action for that big dive that Ashton Metters threw into turn 1 and 2 there. He was holding on for dear life on the outside lane and unfortunately just could not hold on to it any further. Around he'll go. He'll fall to 13th. Last car on the lead lap. He kept it out of the wall. I don't think anyone else hit him. So he'll at least be able to get back going, maybe try to claw his way a couple spots here late in the going from Oswego. We're back behind the iRacing pace car once again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like everyone involved, no one else involved in that incident. So thankfully, only person there. Kind of have to wonder, Jacob, because it looked like Clay was very loose off the corner for that caution when he had Kelly Dahl on his inside coming off of 2. Wondering about the state of some of these everyone's right rears, because that is the wheel that a lot of these setups like to drive off of. And so I don't see any cording on Clay Kirchenbauer's, but I still imagine they are not too happy.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a better look at the likes of Indy Kirchenbauer here. You can't really see it at rolling at speed here. Doesn't look like his tire's too weared here. But of course, you're not really going to see that until you get right up on top of it. You see kind of the right front on Adam Blocker maybe starting to show a bit of wear there. Obviously, the rear tires are what takes the brunt of this car with the way that they are set up, particularly on these oval tracks. So it'll be interesting to see. We haven't had a ton of green running in the later stages of this race, but we've also had a lot of repeat cycles, and that can do just as much wear and tear as ongoing green running can. We'll have to just wait and see if we get back going here, who can really make the dash for cash matter here. We're going to be left with around a little under 10 to go here.
Yes, and I do have to say that, yeah, with all of these cautions here, it's been heat cycling those Firestones, and you're right, Jacob, that can put a lot of extra strain on them. But also, with how much cautions we've had, I think some of them are getting a reprieve. We're not going to see as much wear as we would if it was full 80 laps of green flag running, Jacob.
Yeah, and Richard Creeks chiming in the chat, letting us know after the comment I made about 16 or 17 laps of clean green flag racing, we've had 6 or 7 yellows. Certainly not what we were hoping for, not the commentator's curse any of us wanted to see, but nonetheless, it's given us some time for these drivers to kind of get back going and stop, get back going and stop, maybe stretch their arms about a bit better as the pace car is going to pull in here, and Dylan Vilashinsky will get control of the field. Ready for another restart here. Get ready to put down the power in the green and black Get Good racing machine.
Yes, once again, Adam Blocker bunching up right behind Dylan Vilashinsky. And Dylan Vilashinsky is going to launch. We are underway once again in Oswego. Only a handful of laps remaining, and immediately, and there's several cars involved this time. Big junk, Taylor Thurman, oh no. Taylor Thurman hard against the outside wall of the Steel Palace here. Looks like, yeah,
here comes the restart. Ashton Metters looks to the inside on Thurman. The two are going to make contact left rear to right front wing between Metters and Thurman. That'll send both of them into the outside wall. Not sure what damage Thurman's actually going to wind up with. Looks like maybe a bit of nose cone on that machine. I
also don't see a side pod as well, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks like Metters' machine at least gets away from the initial incident here. Thurman out of the going in the outside wall. He's missing the right front and left front tire, I believe, on that machine. Nose cone as well. He's done for the evening. Meatball flag. Kelly Dahl gets in that one, like with suspension damage, as we see his car limp to the pit lane here back on the replay camera. And that's going to be 3 cars taken out of contention, more than likely here from Oswego, as Dahl will cartwheel back into the pit lane there.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, honestly, what I think happened there is Thurman probably just didn't realize that Metters was going to go that way, because Kirchenbauer himself running kind of in the middle of the road, possibly trying to get a look on Logan Edwards into the corner, and looks like Thurman was trying to maybe get underneath Indy. And that's what ultimately caused all that contact.
Yeah, certainly a rough go of things for those. Thurman was putting up a solid performance through the opening 3 quarters of this race, honest to goodness, and just unfortunately kind of gets wrong placed, wrong timed there. And the thing that we kind of forget is that it takes a little while for the iRacing spotter to kind of chime in and let you know when you have cars around you off these restarts. So it's very, very tricky to keep account of all the cars on a restart around here, especially just how fast you're traveling around here at Oswego.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if the spotter is set up to call that, Jacob, you're probably being told green, green, green. You've got X number of laps to go and maybe even a lap time call out. So there's a good chance Thurman didn't even get a spotter call, even if they had the INI file that iRacing gives you, that they changed it to prioritize those spotter calls. So I'm going to give benefit of the doubt there to Taylor Thurman on that one, but yeah, that's unfortunate. As the pace car is once again off, we've got only 3 laps to go here at Oswego. Dylan Filashinsky once again up front, waiting for a restart.
And here they come off turn number 4. Will likely be the final restart of the event. Here they come. Filashinsky will launch.
Green flag, green flag.
See Hayden Daniel nearly getting to the back of, I believe that's going to be Ryan Brown on the restart as they kind of accordion together here. Will stay single file near the front.
Oh, Clay Kirchenbauer's around, and we're
flag.
going to end under yellow as he crashes into the pit entry.
Now we'll run that. Go ahead, Sophie.
What an unfortunate end to this race, as we were having such an excellent race at the start, and it just looks like the right rear just kind of gives out on Kirchenbauer as he tries to hold it low underneath Gary Yost, and it just results in him nosing into the inside wall and then coming to rest right on pit entry.
Now we'll watch it quickly back here from the start of the restart here. You see Ashton Metters just behind Clay here, working into turns 1 and 2. He's on the inside of Gary Yost here. They'll come off the corner here, work their way through there, and yeah, just around he goes off the exit, maybe hits a bump, a little too much wheel, kind of the textbook thing we've seen so far, or well, all night long here as we proceed behind the pace car here for the final time. Here they come. Dylan Vilashinsky will stay in control of the field. He's led every lap so far this evening, and he'll lead the final one behind the iRacing pace car. Adam Blocker and Logan Edwards will round out the podium. We'll run through the finishing results once all the cars get across the line here from Oswego Speedway. Another win for Dylan Vilashinsky. Strong performance for both Adam Blocker and Logan Edwards. Edie Kirchenbauer made the charge from the 5th row on the grid up to 4th. I believe he came all the way from the 10th spot or 9th spot. One of the two. The Kirchenbauers lined up alongside each other in some fashion. And here Dylan Vilashinsky will go to collect that checkered flag from Barney the flagman, and we'll run you through the finishing results here from Oswego as celebrations get underway for him. And it will be Dylan Vilashinsky winning over Adam Blocker, Logan Edwards rounding out the podium, Edie Kirchenbauer, Brian LaBarge, anonymous night for him. He'll pick up a top 5 in the number 13. David Powers, the reigning Junior Oval Series champ, he'll finish 6th in the number 6. Ryan Brown, another anonymous run for him. He'll finish 7th in the number 9. Hayden Daniel, Gary Yost, Ashton Metters rounding out the top 10. Clay Kirchenbauer will be last car on the lead lap. We saw his late spin there off turn number 2. Crash Neon, Zach Hummel down 1 lap apiece. Kelly Dahl, Taylor Thurman, Giovanni Blackerby all out due to damage this evening as Dylan Vilashinsky burns it down here from Oswego. We'll have a number of drivers, maybe with some interesting takes here of the track here in Oswego, but I know Dylan, goodness, I keep reading Taylor's name on the standings list here and wanting to hit that one, but we'll have some drivers to talk to here about their races here from Oswego here tonight.
Yes, there was a lot of chatter about that last major caution involving Taylor Thurman. A lot of drivers were not happy with that move, understandably, and that ultimately set up that late race restart. And unfortunately, Clay Kirchenbauer got loose off too. Starting to see some of the drivers slot into the waiting for interviews there, Jacob. So we're going to hear from some of the front runners here, the likes of Logan Edwards, Dylan Vilashinsky, and others.
Yeah, we'll start off with Logan Edwards, get the I-5G driver on up here. Logan, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
I got you.
Well, we'll start off with what will hopefully be a simple one. Did you have fun?
At the beginning, yes.
Okay, well, there was some fun to be had, so we'll take that as the win that it is. Obviously, a lot of caution flags kind of plagued the end of this race, but kind of walk us through the way you had to tackle this very tricky track in Oswego for the portions of it where we weren't behind the iRacing pace car.
Well, there's one thing you'll notice immediately is the wall juts out in turn 2, and there's a massive bump in turn 4. So really, I kept turning in to exit 2 too early and clipping the wall, which lost me time, and then you can't really run like any more than the exact car width off the wall in turn 4 unless you go super high because of that huge bump. And I definitely think that caused somebody to spin under me at some point, and definitely gave me some grief putting the power down. So
Yeah.
it's a very tricky track.
Yeah, it was one that caught out a number of drivers. Pretty much most of the cautions caused tonight from drivers on the inside lanes of either corner, to be honest, getting on the power, maybe too much wheel, too much throttle all together at once, going around. And kind of walk us through maybe some of the things you were figuring out to try to nail the corners around here, maybe backing things up, figuring out where you had to position the car to get the throttle down and aimed in a way that didn't upset it any more than it had to be.
I just tried every sort of mix of short track technique that I know, and I think the turns here, like I have the track map right here. I could guess I could eyeball it. Is this track has got pretty like long turn short straights for a short track, and that definitely hurt me a bit. I'm more of a hairpin kind of guy. So I had to move around the bars a little bit. The default bars were eventually fine though. Move back the brake bias like a lot in order to just get the thing turned and just trying to avoid them bumps.
Yeah, certainly a lot of options to get the car under control, especially early in the going. That's going to be where it's kind of the most difficult to navigate the track here. Sophie, what do you got for Logan tonight?
Well, Logan, I know obviously pacing not what we all wanted to see here, but how difficult was it during some of those short bursts of green flag running that we had? Was it to kind of get the tires back up to temperature? Because again, felt like the pace was very slow at first when the tires were cold, and how difficult it was to deal with all of those bumps.
Yeah, the restarts were tough. It's always hard to get confidence on a super bumpy short track like this in a car that's got, I'd say, a narrow window of traction. And adding to that, the fact that most of the time there's a brand new person behind me, which always adds to the nerves. Because, I mean, I had the 2 car behind me at some point, and that's a high I rating. And then I had Indy behind me, who I knew was very quick. But I held my own, which was good.
Yeah, certainly not a bad night to hold your ground and score a podium finish, regardless of how you get there, Logan. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody like to shout out, floor is yours.
Shout out to Team I5G and P1 Broadcasting, and well, I don't have many shout outs, so I'll leave it there.
Well, thank you for joining us, Logan. We'll catch you tomorrow night as the Formula Super Series takes on Hockenheim, and we'll hopefully catch you at other shows here on the P1 Broadcasting channel. Go celebrate. Have a good night.
All right, see you tomorrow.
That'll do it for Logan Edwards. I'm not seeing Adam Blocker in the waiting room, but we'll give him his due if he opts to join us. We will certainly bring him on up here. Power Slide driver finishes second here from OSWEGO. Took advantage, made a solid pass on the initial start there to make it by Logan Edwards. Get into that second spot and held onto it throughout the rest of the going. But man of the evening, none other than Dylan Vilashinsky. He'll pick up another win here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition. Dylan, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
I got you loud and clear.
Well, it was pole position, lights to flag at the front here. Obviously, we had a lot of yellow towards the latter half of this race. We'll start with the same question we gave Logan to start here is, did you have fun?
I was having fun that first half. I'll say that much. It's a real shame that it went all that yellow at the end, because on the long run, this track is great. It's so much fun.
Certainly what we were hoping for was a long green flag run. I'll chalk it up to the commentator's curse. We had pointed it out around lap 15, 16 that we were going to have, a solid green flag run going, and then we got many a yellow following that. But nonetheless, kind of walk us through some of the things you figured out here from Oswego Speedway. Obviously, the bumps were kind of the big talking point of the evening, getting power down, trying to not get the car to slide to those outside walls on either end of the track here.
Let's see. The bumps in 3 and 4 was probably the hardest bit of this track, because right in the middle of 4, right when you're trying to get back on throttle, there's like a giant bump in the middle of the track, and then a big dip just to the left of that. And every lap you're trying to hit that dip and getting the throttle timing just right so you can get the power down without spinning up the rears. The rest of the race, the rest of the track, you're just trying to figure out what the best entry line is so you can try and get as much power down on exit, because the car is so the setup this week was really, really tight, at least for me, at least. So you go into every quarter and the whole goal would just be to aim to hit that late apex, especially in like 1 and 2. So it was just trying to get that figured out and then timed so you can hit that every single lap.
Yeah, certainly trying to kind of get a little bit of a diamond going on both ends, particularly with 3 and 4, where you kind of got to stay to the inside or the outside of that very treacherous kind of nosedive bump past the light pole there through the corner. Very tricky indeed. And kind of walk us through what it's like having to navigate restarts around here. Obviously, we saw you at the front, but a number of the cars behind were taking some pretty considerable lunges on each other, try to maybe dive into the inside or outside of each other. Maybe talk us through maybe some of the things you're working with trying to navigate restarts here.
They're not too tricky when you're out front, because all you're trying to do is try and get away from second place as fast as you can to prevent him from having that ability to throw lunges on you. And on the restarts with the tires all cooled down, you've been running that whole first half of the race and just car's plowing and it doesn't want to turn. And then you go that restart with cold tires, and all of a sudden the thing wants to turn, and it can catch you by surprise if you're not careful. So it's just trying to manage that while also, keeping an eye out behind and make sure they're not getting too close so that they can't throw a lunge on you.
Yeah, certainly trying to build that gap up as quickly as you can, because you can lunge from a good ways back in these IL-15s, as we've seen a number of times, both on the road courses and the ovals. Sophie, you got anything for Dylan tonight?
Well, Dylan, obviously you had the race very well in hand. How difficult was it to try and get the power down the IL-15 on the restarts, a car that is famously very difficult to start, particularly in first gear?
Well, the trick is don't start in first gear. You start in second. For most of the tracks that we race this thing at, you're going to be wanting restarting in second because it lets you get that power down more smoothly. With first gear, you get on the gas and you're pretty much already at the rev limiter. So you'll spin your tires, you'll hit the rev limiter, and that bogs you down as you're shifting down to second. When you're in second, it's not super hard to get going. Like every time we would do those restarts, I was literally just foot to the floor to go, and the car would just rip straight with no issue.
Well, you certainly had to make good use of that restart skill here tonight. A lot of cautions to get away from here, but you take the win here, Dylan. Friends, family, sponsors, you know the drill. Floor is yours.
As usual, shout out to Get Good Racing and shout out to the Sprint Car Cup. They run 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
Thanks for joining us here, Dylan. We'll catch you next time out as we take on Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. These things are going to rip around there.
They most certainly will. We'll catch you there. Go celebrate tonight.
All right, y'all have a good one.
That'll do it for Dylan. We've found Adam Blocker. He has joined us in the waiting room. We'll get him on up here, see what he has to say from his P2 finish tonight. Adam, Sophie Connell, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Yep.
Well, you started on the inside row, made an early pass on Logan Edwards to make it up to second, and then kind of were doing what you could to challenge Dylan at the front here. Kind of walk us through some of the things you figured out here and what I would believe is your first trip to OSWEGO here.
I mean, the first thing is it's really tough to qualify with this format of the cold tires, heavy fuel, because you only get the second lap, and I mean the tires are still really cold. So yeah, it's just difficult, but that's good. And so yeah, qualified third, and then I mean it's kind of unfortunate you don't get to choose lanes or anything because Logan couldn't really do much on the start because I just had the inside. So yeah, and then from there I felt like on the long run, the first run I've gotten to a rhythm and I was a little bit faster than Dylan, and he would occasionally make a mistake, especially in turn 4 on the bump, but he just never made the mistake when I was close enough. And I felt like I was good on the little short restart runs, but like at the end, I actually had a decent run on him right when the caution came out. So I mean, I don't know if I would have done anything, but it was just difficult to pass and just trying to be patient and find an opportunity. So
that's kind of the nature of the beast here at Oswego. Generally speaking, the close I've even seen crossed even the dirt version of this track as well. And kind of walk us through what it's like having to navigate that patience game as you work a lot of restarts here. Obviously, Dylan can get a sizable jump being the lead car there, but you can obviously do some things to stay as close as you can, stay in contention, maybe start to build a run over the laps. But when you don't really get those, what are you really able to do at that point?
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't. I mean, with only like one corner, you couldn't do much. But like, just I think the main thing was, for some reason, I mean, a lot of people were running like a line, like Dylan was running a line where he was driving in harder to the corner. But I couldn't figure that out. So I was like running taking less speed on entry, getting really low, and then getting on power sooner. And that's just what I found worked for me. And I thought, like, because I saw from the little bit of practice I did, that the right rear was going to wear a lot. I thought that what I was doing with bars and everything was going to save the right rear if we went green. That was probably a little bit optimistic to go green the whole way, but yeah, I mean, it was an interesting challenge just because of that. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll certainly put it up to the commentators' curse. We kind of pointed out around the lap 15 mark that we were going to have a considerable green run to open this thing up, and then the yellow flags rained from the sky for the rest of the going here. Sophie, you got anything for Adam tonight?
I mean, Adam, unfortunately, didn't get the end of the race that you would want, obviously, given all of the eye-pacing. Was there anything you were kind of considering trying to do on the restarts to maybe mitigate any of the advantage Vilashinsky was gaining those restarts?
I was trying different stuff. Like I tried first gear one of the times. I mean, I saw that Logan, I think, would use first gear on the initial start and got a bunch of wheel spin. So I tried to get a little bit of temp and then use first gear, and it didn't really work any better. Then for the last restart, I tried like getting more tire temp under pacing, although it's really difficult to do much. Yeah, I mean, the thing was just like with the gearing and everything, Dylan could just get like a 3/4 jump just like on the initial start, and he was doing a good job like doing that. So then I was always just gonna have to claw it back in the second phase, I think, is how it was gonna have to go. So yep.
Well, certainly a solid run for you here nonetheless, Adam. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out, floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all for covering the series, and yeah, Dylan for the good race. Hope to see y'all in some more of these. So.
Yeah, we certainly look forward to seeing you in the future as well. The Oval Series takes on its shortest track of the season next week in Five Flags Speedway down in Pensacola. We'll hopefully catch you there or later on this season.
Yep, see ya.
That'll do it for Adam Blocker. And Sophie, we had ourselves quite a solid opening portion of this race, and then we got the cautions on cautions that kind of closed this one out. But nonetheless, a solid debut for what I think would be a promising track to see a reappearance here in the Indy NXT Oval Series.
Yes, Jacob. I think it was just an unfortunate case of cautions breed cautions. Field stacking up, everyone desperate for positions, and things unfortunately happened that kind of marred this debut for OSWEGO. Also possibly maybe tire wear, as we saw from a 30-lap run. You would get down into the 70%, and that wasn't even to halfway through the race, Jacob, and that certainly contributed to some of the self-spins that we saw.
Yeah, certainly a very tricky track that started to show just how tricky it could be in the midway and latter stages of this race. We'll thank each and every one of you in the audience for joining us here from Oswego Speedway for the third round of 12 here in 2026 Season 2 for the Indy NXT Oval Series. As mentioned before, next week we'll take on the shortest track of the season, the half-mile Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, home of the Snowball Derby. That'll be at the same time you saw this race go live tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Tuesday. And we've got ourselves the slew of other coverage we mentioned earlier on in the show on P1 Broadcasting. Something to suit every style here on the service throughout the week. And we'll thank those that really make it possible, those that do the difficult jobs all around the world that let us bring you fun things like Indy NXT Oval Series action here on P1 Broadcasting. Have a good night, everybody. We will catch you next time wherever we may find you. Have a good night.